The year is 1972. Santa Cruz, California, a haven of bohemian ideals and countercultural movements, is about to be shaken to its core. A wave of seemingly random murders grips the community, leaving residents terrified and bewildered. The picturesque coastline, normally a vibrant tapestry of life, becomes shrouded in fear. Whispers of a serial killer on the loose send chills down spines. The idyllic image of Santa Cruz is shattered, replaced by a chilling reality. At the heart of this nightmare stands a young man named Herbert Mullin. Mullin, a man wrestling with the demons in his mind, embarks on a murderous rampage, forever etching his name into the annals of crime. His victims, 13 souls lost to the abyss of his psychosis, become tragic symbols of vulnerability and the devastating consequences of untreated mental illness. Mullin's descent into madness is a stark reminder of the fragility of the human psyche and the urgent need for a compassionate and effective mental health system. The story of Herbert Mullin is not just a historical account of a horrific crime spree. It is a mirror reflecting the failures of a society grappling with the complexities of mental health, a struggle that continues to this day. Mullin's story is a cautionary tale, urging us to confront the stigma surrounding mental illness, to prioritize early intervention, and to champion the cause of accessible and comprehensive mental health care. This is not just about the past, it's about the present and the future. This essay will delve into the dark corridors of Mullin's mind, exploring the events that shaped his descent into madness. We will journey through the fear and chaos that gripped Santa Cruz, examining the impact of his crimes on the community. We will explore the systemic failures that allowed his illness to escalate unchecked, and we will draw parallels to the mental health challenges we face today. Ultimately, this essay is a call for empathy, understanding, and a renewed commitment to building a world where tragedies like Herbert Mullin's are not repeated. Santa Cruz in the early 1970s was a microcosm of the cultural shifts sweeping America. The counterculture movement, with its emphasis on peace, love, and individual expression, had taken root, drawing young people from across the country to the laid-back coastal town. Amidst the vibrant tapestry of art, music, and social activism, a darker undercurrent was brewing. The Vietnam War cast a long shadow, fueling anxieties and social unrest. Economic uncertainties added to the collective unease. Herbert Mullin, born and raised in Santa Cruz, was a child of this era. He came of age during a period of tremendous social and political upheaval, a time when traditional values were being challenged and the fabric of American society was undergoing a profound transformation. Mullin, like many of his peers, grappled with the complexities of this new world, struggling to find his place amidst the shifting sands. However, unlike most, Mullin's internal struggles were compounded by a burgeoning mental illness. As Mullin navigated the turbulent waters of adolescence, warning signs began to emerge. His behavior grew increasingly erratic, marked by paranoia, delusions, and bouts of aggression. His academic performance declined, and he withdrew from social interactions. Concerned family and friends observed these changes with growing alarm, recognizing that something was amiss. However, the stigma surrounding mental illness, coupled with a lack of accessible resources, prevented Mullin from receiving the timely and comprehensive care he desperately needed. Herbert Mullin's mental deterioration escalated rapidly as he entered his 20s. He experimented with drugs, further blurring the lines between reality and delusion. His paranoia intensified, and he became increasingly isolated, trapped in a labyrinth of his own distorted perceptions. He began to experience auditory hallucinations, voices whispering sinister commands, fueling his paranoia and feeding his burgeoning psychosis. Mullin's delusions took a sinister turn. He became fixated on bizarre and irrational beliefs, convinced that he held the power to prevent earthquakes through human sacrifice. Driven by this twisted logic, he embarked on a chilling quest, targeting strangers as unwitting offerings to appease his warped sense of cosmic responsibility. Mullin's descent into madness was complete. the line between sanity and insanity irrevocably blurred. The once promising young man, full of potential, had become a prisoner of his own mind. His actions, fueled by a maelstrom of delusions and paranoia, would leave a trail of devastation in their wake. Mullin's story, though extreme, is a chilling testament to the destructive power of untreated mental illness. It underscores the urgency of recognizing the early warning signs and intervening with compassion and effective treatment before tragedy strikes. The first murder attributed to Herbert Mullin occurred in October 1972. The victim, a homeless man named Lawrence White, was brutally beaten to death with a baseball bat. The randomness of the attack and the sheer brutality shocked the community. Fear began to creep into the hearts of Santa Cruz residents, as whispers of a dangerous predator lurking in their midst spread like wildfire. Mullin's killing spree continued, each murder seemingly more senseless than the last. He targeted individuals of various ages and backgrounds, from a priest to a young family camping in the woods. His methods varied, from bludgeoning to stabbing to shooting, each act a testament to the chaotic and unpredictable nature of his psychosis. The community, gripped by terror, struggled to comprehend the motives behind these horrific acts. As the body count rose, so did the pressure on law enforcement. The investigation intensified, with detectives working tirelessly to identify the perpetrator and bring an end to the reign of terror. However, Mullin's actions, driven by his delusions rather than any discernible pattern, proved difficult to predict or track. The community remained on edge, haunted by the specter of violence that had shattered their sense of security and peace. The impact of Herbert Mullin's crimes on the Santa Cruz community was profound and enduring. The idyllic coastal town, known for its laid-back atmosphere and vibrant counterculture, was now forever linked to the horrors of a serial killer. The sense of safety and security that had once been a hallmark of life in Santa Cruz was irrevocably shattered, replaced by an undercurrent of fear and suspicion. The families of the victims were left grappling with unimaginable grief and loss. Their loved ones, taken so suddenly and senselessly, became tragic symbols of the destructive power of mental illness. The community rallied around the families, offering support and solace in the face of unspeakable tragedy. However, the scars of Mullin's crimes ran deep, leaving an indelible mark on the collective psyche of Santa Cruz. The Mullin case served as a wake-up call, forcing the community to confront the uncomfortable realities of mental illness. The stigma surrounding mental health issues, often brushed aside or ignored, was brought to the forefront. Conversations about mental health, once taboo, became more common, albeit tinged with a sense of urgency and fear. The tragedy prompted a collective soul-searching, a reckoning with the systemic failures that allowed a man like Herbert Mullin to fall through the cracks. Herbert Mullin was eventually apprehended and brought to trial for his crimes. His trial was a media spectacle, capturing national attention and igniting a debate about the complexities of mental illness and the criminal justice system. The prosecution sought the death penalty, arguing that Mullin's actions were premeditated and deserving of the ultimate punishment. The defense, however, maintained that Mullin was not criminally responsible due to his severe mental illness. The jury ultimately found Mullin guilty of 10 counts of second-degree murder and 2 counts of first-degree murder, rejecting the insanity plea. He was sentenced to life in prison, where he remains to this day. The verdict, while providing a sense of closure for the families of the victims, did little to address the underlying issues that contributed to the tragedy. The debate surrounding Mullin's mental state and the appropriate legal response continued, highlighting the challenges of balancing justice with compassion in cases involving severe mental illness. The Mullin case served as a catalyst for change, prompting a reevaluation of mental health services and the legal framework for dealing with individuals with severe mental illness. The tragedy underscored the need for early intervention, accessible treatment options, and a criminal justice system equipped to address the unique challenges posed by mental illness. The case also highlighted the importance of destigmatizing mental health issues and fostering a culture of understanding and support for those struggling with mental illness. Herbert Mullin's story exposes the glaring inadequacies of the mental health care system in the 1970s. Despite exhibiting clear signs of mental deterioration, Mullin's access to quality mental health care was limited. The stigma surrounding mental illness, coupled with a lack of readily available resources, prevented him from receiving the timely and comprehensive treatment he desperately needed. His downward spiral continued unchecked, culminating in a horrific tragedy. The deinstitutionalization movement, which gained traction in the 1960s, aimed to shift patients from large, often overcrowded mental institutions to community-based care facilities. While well-intentioned, the movement suffered from inadequate funding and a lack of robust community support systems. Many individuals with severe mental illness like Mullin were left adrift, struggling to navigate a complex system with limited resources. The Mullin case served as a tragic reminder of the unintended consequences of deinstitutionalization without adequate investment in community-based mental health care. It exposed the gaps in the system, leaving vulnerable individuals without the support they needed to manage their conditions and live safely and productively in the community. The case served as a catalyst for change, prompting calls for increased funding and improved access to mental health services. The tragic story of Herbert Mullin highlights the human cost of neglecting mental health. Mullin was not born a monster. He was a young man wrestling with a severe mental illness that went unaddressed. His descent into madness was a gradual process, marked by missed opportunities for intervention and a lack of understanding and support. His victims, innocent lives extinguished by the darkness that consumed him, represent the devastating consequences of untreated mental illness. The families of the victims, forever scarred by the loss of their loved ones, carry the burden of Mullin's actions. Their grief is a testament to the ripple effects of mental illness, extending far beyond the individual struggling with the condition. Their stories serve as a poignant reminder that mental illness is not just an individual struggle. It is a societal issue that demands attention and compassion. The Mullin case underscores the urgency of addressing mental health with the same level of care and attention as physical health. It is a call for greater empathy, understanding, and a commitment to creating a society that prioritizes mental well-being. It is a reminder that ignoring mental illness does not make it go away. It only allows it to fester, potentially leading to devastating consequences for individuals, families, and communities. Although the Herbert Mullin case unfolded decades ago, its echoes resonate deeply in contemporary society. The challenges of addressing mental health effectively persist, and the stigma surrounding mental illness continues to be a formidable barrier to seeking help. The need for accessible, comprehensive mental health care remains a pressing concern, with many individuals still struggling to navigate a complex and often overwhelming system. The United States faces a growing mental health crisis, with rates of depression, anxiety, and other mental health conditions on the rise. The COVID-19 pandemic exacerbated these challenges, highlighting the fragility of mental well-being in the face of unprecedented stress and uncertainty. The pandemic also exposed the persistent inequities in access to mental health care, with marginalized communities disproportionately affected. The story of Herbert Mullin serves as a cautionary tale, reminding us that neglecting mental health has far-reaching consequences. It underscores the urgency of investing in mental health resources, promoting early intervention, and creating a culture that supports mental well-being. The lessons learned from the Mullin case can inform our approach to addressing the current mental health crisis, guiding us toward a more compassionate and effective response. The legacy of the Herbert Mullin case is a call for action, a demand to bridge the gap between the need for comprehensive mental health care and the reality of a system often ill-equipped to meet that need. It is a call to confront the stigma surrounding mental illness, to prioritize early intervention, and to advocate for increased funding for mental health services. It is a call to build a society that recognizes mental well-being as integral to overall health and well-being. Addressing the mental health crisis requires a multi-pronged approach. Increased funding for mental health services is crucial, allowing for the expansion of treatment options, the recruitment and training of mental health professionals, and the development of community-based support systems. Early intervention programs are essential, identifying individuals at risk and providing timely support to prevent escalation of mental health conditions. Destigmatizing mental illness is paramount. Creating a culture that encourages open conversations about mental health, promotes help-seeking behavior, and fosters empathy and understanding is essential to dismantling the barriers that prevent individuals from seeking help. The Mullin case serves as a stark reminder that ignoring mental illness does not make it go away. It only allows it to fester, potentially leading to tragic consequences. The story of Herbert Mullin is a chilling reminder of the fragility of the human psyche and the devastating consequences of untreated mental illness. It is a story of missed opportunities, systemic failures, and the enduring impact of trauma on individuals, families, and communities. However, amidst the darkness, there is a glimmer of hope. Mullin's case served as a catalyst for change, prompting a reevaluation of mental health services and the legal framework for dealing with individuals with severe mental illness. The lessons learned from the Mullin case continue to inform our approach to mental health today. The need for accessible, comprehensive mental health care remains a pressing concern, and the fight to destigmatize mental illness continues. However, there is a growing recognition of the importance of mental well-being, and efforts to improve mental health services are gaining momentum. The story of Herbert Mullin is not just a historical account of a horrific crime spree. It is a call to action. It is a call to remember the victims, to honor their memory by working towards a future where tragedies like this are prevented. It is a call to build a society that prioritizes mental health, embraces compassion, and offers support to those struggling with the invisible wounds of mental illness. It is a call to create a world where darkness does not define us, but where hope and healing pave the path forward.